is Luticha Doucette. Luticha André Doucette is the author of the groundbreaking book, Cultivating an Intersectional Mindset. She also owns Catalyst Consulting Associates, which helps organizations, leaders, and advocates examine equity across race, gender, identity, and disability in policies, practices, procedures, and relationships. Next up is Andraéa LaVant. Andraéa LaVant is a world-renowned authority on disability culture, widely recognized as the impact producer of Crip, A Disability Revolution, a Netflix-released documentary that has earned awards and nominations from the Oscars, Sundance Film Festival, Independent Spirit Awards, and Peabody Awards. Eris Eady is a Black, bisexual, non-binary, and disabled consultant, advocate, artist, and writer who has organized, facilitated, performed, presented, and curated collaborative spaces nationwide. Candace Coleman worked closely with disabled people affected by the justice system to organize around racial justice and disability. Her most notable work is her integral involvement in passing the Community Emergency Services and Supports Act, CESSA, in 2021.
Afternoon, everyone. I am so excited to be here for the Ramp Your Voice conference. My name is Candace Coleman, and I will be your moderator today. Today, we're going to talk about advocacy, consulting, and disability, of course. And I want to allow some time for each fabulous person to introduce themselves. And so I'm going to start off with Andraéa.
Good morning, everyone, or afternoon, I guess, depending on where you are in the country. I'm Andraéa LaVant. I use she, her pronouns. I live in Los Angeles, California. Today, I'm always a Black woman every day, but today I have a black and white turban on, some hoop clear earrings, and a red dress and a multicolored caftan. I lead a consulting firm, LaVant Consulting Incorporated. We're a disability-focused strategy and communications firm. We have a remote team across the country, and I'm excited to dive in and to be a part of today's conversation. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Andraéa. I'm going to turn it over to Eris.
Hey, everybody. My name is Eris Eady. My pronouns are they and she. I am a darker brown skin, Black femme with a very low cut haircut with some fabulous eyebrows. And I am here with my child, Yasin, who uses all pronouns, wearing a black and white onesie, who is a little bit rambunctious. You say hi. You say hi. Say hello. Okay, you're not gonna say hi. That's fine. And so they're hanging out with me as well. I am a coach and a chaplain, and I am a doctoral student at the Memphis Theological Seminary, where I'm studying womanist preaching. And I work with folks on. I'm a come out coach, so I help folks, organizations, and all other people come to terms around their religious hurt and trauma, and also, creating more inclusive practices in all places and spaces.
Thank you, Eris. I was so excited about getting started that I didn't even introduce myself properly. But I want to make sure that description is at least up there, which my name is Candace Coleman. I'm she, her pronouns community organizer out of Chicago. African American woman with curly micro braids that are gold and black. Have a long face, arched eyebrows thanks to the filters on Zoom, and a big smile. And so just wanted to make sure I did that introduction. And why don't we get right into the questions? They're not really hard. And you all work really, really hard in what you do. So I just want to ask, how do you define being a consultant? And what principles guide you in doing that work? And I'll start with Andraéa.
Hmm. So I define, I'm sorry, being a consultant really as serving as a subject matter expert that comes alongside or partners alongside an organization or a brand or whoever it may be, to guide and advise. And I think one big thing, for me and what we do is not just the advising, but actually, supporting implementation. So going beyond telling folks, what to do, but actually, supporting in the doing, not just the telling. I think that often as consultants, we're problem solvers. My preference is to be proactive. It's for someone to come in at the beginning, specifically, when it comes to disability focused or, even intersectional work where they're saying, we're identifying that we want to, address a specific or, to include disabled people or whatever. And we want to do it early and we want to, make it sustainable. Often, unfortunately, we're fixers, so we're coming in to, fix a problem or, kind of support in even perhaps what could have been a crisis, or what have you. So I think that there are different times when we perhaps join, but preference is proactively. And I'll stop there. We can get into more details around kind of what matters and principles and things like that, I imagine as well. But I'll stop there
Sure.
for now.
Do you have a series of events or something that was like a key moment that made you decide that you wanted to become a consultant?
Sure. Actually, so I started out in the nonprofit space. My background is in public relations communications. And so I worked in DC for over a decade, and on various, projects from youth development and leadership, supporting government grants. Then I worked for the Girl Scouts for over 7 years leading their inclusion work. And the thing was that I consistently, often anyone that knows working in nonprofit, you end up kind of connecting with various sectors. It can be corporate, it can be, corporate funders, it can be foundations, it can be government agencies. Um, and as one who's, big on communication, the thing that I kept finding in interacting with folks was that it wasn't so much that they didn't want to address disability, but they didn't want to get it wrong. They felt like, we're just not gonna do it, or we don't wanna screw this up. And so they were, it was more of a fear-based, place that people were coming from. And I felt like, you know, it was important to help kind of be a bridge to connect to the, for folks to be able to connect with the community, and also, do it in a way that's meaningful. I think one of the big, things for me also in the work that we do is finding alignment. So we're not about, I've never been one to, work with folks where it feels like it's a box checking. I think, we're over 30 years past the ADA. And so for me, it was about finding folks that were saying, hey, you know what, we we want to do this, we want to engage with or to reach the disabled community, or we want to ensure that, we have inclusive practices or, authentic marketing or whatever. We just, and perhaps we have an internal champion, but we need more support and we want to get it right. So the big thing for me, even when I started, was, identifying folks, organizations that didn't want to just say, okay, we did this one time and now, we're moving on, we're done. So yeah.
Your background, and I want to make space for Luticha, who just got here. If you could just introduce yourself and talk a little bit about the work that you do.
Sure. Thank you so much. My cat needed an emergency vet appointment, so we just got finished. It's nice to see y'all. Let me do like a quick self description. I am a rainbow unicorn something today. I don't know. So I've got my Sassy Jones kind of beaded necklace and matching earrings, some zebra unicorn kind of colors for my glasses, and a yellow dress on today. So yeah, I'm the president or owner and CEO of Catalyst Consulting Associates, and I am located in Rochester, New York. And my background is in bioinformatics. And so a lot of the work that I do is not only in research, so researching about the needs and wants of disabled people in mid-size and small towns because we don't really get the attention or dollars and funding in our areas, as well as working in the active transportation and urban planning space, because many of these mid-sized cities and small towns don't have proper ADA coordinators. They don't have ADA transition plans. And again, the funding, the structures, the knowledge to be able to move things strategically. So a lot of the work that I do is around organizing communities with my research, but also organizing governments around the research and the needs and being inclusive of all of the folk who live within their municipalities. So that's the bulk of the work that I do at Catalyst Consulting.
Thank you so much for that introduction. Your work is extremely important and actually very rare. So wish we had more time to really dig into all the things that you all do, because I'm a super fan. So I just want to make sure we share what we can with this audience. But I'm going to turn it over to Eris and ask Eris, what key events or key things kind of happened for you that led you into consulting, and how do you actually define consulting for yourself?
So this question is so interesting. It's making me think back to my first grad program that I unfortunately dropped out of, but it was for good reason. But I remember one of my professors coming up to me and saying, decide what your LLC is going to be named, because everybody is not going to understand or want to work with you, but the people who are going to want to work with you are going to absolutely love you. And at the time, as a younger person, I couldn't quite understand what he meant back then, but I understand it now, which leads me into my definition of consulting. I attend my work as a consultant is to be a bridge to connect people from where they are to where they want to go, and to help them make the steps to get there. And so it means having crucial and uncomfortable conversations. It means having really intense strategies. My background is in organizational development, and then also using tools like appreciative inquiry, intentional change theory. So really taking folks on a journey towards change. Taking folks on a journey towards change that they need and that they really want to embark on, and creating a solid plan to move forward. I move along with them, but also giving them the tools to continue to do the work on their own as well. And so I'll keep it brief. I'll wrap it up there.
I appreciate that so much. As we grow and develop you're right. We don't necessarily know what people are saying to us when they give us advice, and then we kind of grow into that. And so, yeah, I totally have experience with that as well. Luticha, can you tell us a little bit about some key moments or key things that led you into consulting, and then tell us how you actually define consulting for yourself or your work?
So I was working for government, and I'll just say I struggled being other people's employee, because I knew how to do things, and then other people were making decisions, and I was like, why are we doing that? That don't seem, no, I don't want to do that. And I got in a lot of trouble for always saying like no, or making an executive decision and then kind of moving with that and still being right. And like, well, I guess this is good enough for me, better to ask forgiveness and permission. So I created my DBA as like a fallback. And I had started to talk to a lot of different Black owned business owners. And they was like, as a disabled person, you really should have an LLC. And I was like, huh, well, now why is that? And they was like, you need to look into that. And so gave me some resources, etc. And I finally quit my government job in October of 2020. I just couldn't take it anymore. And, making those decisions, defining what leadership meant for me, because I'd taken all sorts of leadership programs and seeing the landscape of, Black leadership. It was never inclusive of my queer, disabled, Black behind. And so there was a space that was needed. And also within the government space, I was able to see where the gaps were, not just within government, but the knowledge of the residents and how they viewed what government could or could not do for them, or what should or should not do. And so it was like, nobody is doing this. And with these planning firms, et cetera, I just kept looking. I was like, where are the people who look like me within this space? And so nobody was serving a need. And I'm like, I'll do it. I'm a fixer. So I have my LLC, been on the struggle bus, trying to grow and learn how to be a business owner. So I think a lot of it with consulting is filling the gap for people. Also teaching people what they need before they know that they need it. I think that's a lot of what ends up happening is people sometimes just don't know what they don't know. And then I come in and be like, you need me. And so how do you kind of market that kind of thing? And being on the forefront and cutting edge of saying, if we have all of this planning, gentrification, et cetera, how do we mitigate displacement? How do we make it actually inclusive and all of that, and be able to give people the tools that they need to push forward? So that's why we're catalyst consultants. Catalysts are little enzymes in our bodies that help reactions to kind of move forward either quicker or a bit of a stronger reaction. And so that's what I try to offer to people. I don't like long-term relationships, except with my cats. And so I like to set people up for success, and then I'm out. And if you need me a little bit later, that's cool. But the legacy has to be within the community. And I can see the changes that are being made, and knowing that, part of the strategy is having a whole bunch of people moving forward in a singular direction. So it's not all on me. So it's like sustainability built into the practice. Hope that answers the question.
No, it does. Thanks you so much. I'm just curious, and I'm gonna start with you and then end up with Andraéa. But I'm just curious, in your professional industry that you work in, we know that disability is underrepresented. How do you want to see that change for the industry that you consult in?
So I'm here to work myself out of a job. Um, like I want to be on an island with cats like Enya. That's my retirement plan. So the goal is that advocacy is not needed. I don't like that a lot of it is the persistence and existence of terribleness is tied to my coin. And I don't like that. I don't want that to be the reason why I continue to do what I do. So my goal is retirement for everybody, checks for everybody, glitter, cats, whatever it is that you like. So that's the goal, is to not have to do this anymore for anybody.
What about you, Eris?
I share very similar sentiments. I would love nothing more than to, I don't dream of labor. Um, I don't want to work, especially not work hard. But that's just not the world that we live in right now. And so we have to do a lot of things to make sure that future generations get to um, have the right to ease and access and whatever that looks like. And so for me, the ways that I would love to see it change is to, change things like changing what a work week looks like, changing the capacity of what work is. Everything is, every meeting is not necessary. So many things could be an email. And as we move into this world of where AI is going to be prioritized, how can we make AI work for us in ways that it protects us and not further ostracize us from communities? And so those are the things that kind of I've been thinking about.
Thank you, Eris. Andrea, you want to answer the question? In your professional industry, disability is most often underrepresented. So how do you want to see it change?
I ultimately agree if we can all be, and often on an island somewhere. I think that a little more shorter term, and when I think about success, particularly like for us, um, is often we start in, we're perhaps even in big companies, or we're starting in one, specific department. It could be, social media, it could be product design. And my goal is that this is infused across, an organization, that concepts and even the value system shifts so that we're seeing disability not just addressed in one area. I won't name companies, but if you think about, some of them, you may be like, oh wow, they did this really cool thing for the community over here. It could have been an ad campaign or something like that, but their products suck. Or, there's just there's like you see that they, probably had a champion, or a person within the organization, or a consultant or whatever, that supported some aspect of disability inclusion, or that whatever it may be, but then they're still getting it wrong in so many areas. And we found that that happens consistently, where I've been surprised by companies that'll come to us and say, hey, we really need help, and we'll look and we'll be like, you really do need help over here, but I thought y'all were pretty cool, like I thought y'all were pretty cool. So I think that it's really that the values of disabled people, of or all identities really, are such that we're seeing it not just in one specific part of someone's work or what they do or their mission or what have you, but that it's infused across a brand or a company.
Just curious, because we have a mixed audience of people from across different spectrums of the disability community. Some are advocates, some are consultants like yourself, some are artists, some work in the government. Like we have multiple people watching us today. I'm just curious, what advocacy work are you all closely following within the disability rights or disability justice movement? Or are you at all?
Well, I can start. I think that on a more personal level, I've kind of consistently, um, I mean, advocated for, various things but within my lived experience, self-advocacy. So, um, over the years, it's been, healthcare related, personal care, attendant services, community living, things of that nature. Right now, because of the work that we do, um, I've been doing a lot around transportation, air travel. Just took a flight the other day where I watched my wife watch them. Like we were just like, please do not drop this wheelchair off of the conveyor belt. It was a very, so my more personal advocacy has been connected to, and connected to the community in such a way, particularly Black disabled folks, that I feel like I can lend my voice to from a lived experience perspective. Um, yeah, I try to support and uplift everyone while also addressing specifically what I know, often, so that I don't so that we're leaving space for others to really advocate for their needs as well.
Thank you for that, Eris.
Similar to LaVant, I just got off a flight a couple of days ago where I was at JFK Airport waiting for 2 hours for wheelchair transportation for me and my child, only for them to tell me that they could not push me and my child separately. I had to push my child in the wheelchair while they pushed me in her stroller while they pushed me. It was an ordeal, and it was, it's why you show up to the airport 3.5 hours early when you are disabled, because you just never know what you're going to deal with, what you're going to encounter. And so I'm trying to gather the energy and the spoons to have that argument with Delta and Department of Transportation, just about how they treat folks. I'm not supposed from what I understand, I'm not supposed to be waiting for more than 30 minutes. And there I was for 2 hours. And so for me, I'm not newly disabled, but I am new to being very aware of the disability justice community in its current iteration. And so for me, I do a lot of listening, a lot of learning, a lot of taking a back seat and listening to, like we heard earlier, listening to our disabled elders and folks who have been tried and true and really doing this work on the front lines. And so as a Black queer person, and a lot of Black queer people are disabled as well, you can't help but to do the work and be immersed in it. And so, just tuning into the scholarship that I can find. Always shout out Black Disability Politics by Dr. Sammy Shaw, and other thinkers and scholars who are doing just amazing work. Crutches and Spice, of course, Imani. This is my season of just listening and learning.
Appreciate that. I'm sorry you had to have that experience.
Thank you.
Luticha, what advocacy work are you following in the disability rights or the disability justice movement?
So a lot of the work that I have been focusing on is more cross-movement, cross-disability. So, and more again, focused on smaller towns and cities. So there's been a burgeoning of what are called business improvement districts across the nation that would reinforce and really make redlining permanent within different municipalities that would then lead to the displacement of disabled individuals from housing by raising property taxes, which then would raise rents even more. So we successfully fought against our business improvement district here in Rochester. And it was a 2-year slog, but this was all cross disability, cross ability, cross, labor movements, etc. So that's where I see a lot of the power and strength of the principles of disability justice. Also working with labor unions and their movements, because again, those principles apply in the workspace and with our labor movements. So really kind of following all of that, as well as uplifting Anita Cameron's work against suicide bills, because that is happening here in New York State as well as across the nation, as well as, fights about Medicaid cuts, all of those necessary things that we need for healthcare, but also pushing for universal healthcare. We have it on the books here in New York State and still haven't had it passed. So really kind of saying what needs to be done on an advocacy level across the state to be able to kind of uplift and get that moving. Another thing is about, it's more than just voting, it's about who we are voting in. So what kind of pipeline and strategy are we developing to develop new candidates who actually have the requisite skill sets to govern? It's not about personality, it's about what you can do. What does a staff look like for a political candidate, so that when they reach office, they're not making these poor hiring decisions that lead to, worse outcomes. So those are kind of my focuses, for now, but, I'm always willing to join in if you need me, and listening and learning across, not only this country, but the world.
Yeah, aid and dying is really taking a sweeping effect across the country. It's one of the things that we're pushing against here in Illinois. And people just don't seem to understand the impact that it will have on our community as a whole. And so I appreciate you doing that work. If there's any opportunity that we could all collaboratively work together along with Anita and others, let's do that, because we don't have time to keep putting things in place that will harm us. We need to live our best lives. So that being said, we're doing the hard work. We're seeing and experiencing some really challenging and dreadful things, just us being human. I'm really curious as to what brings you all joy these days, because we do have to unplug, and oftentimes we don't get to talk about the joy. So, what's bringing you all joy these days?
Well, that baby is bringing me joy. Let me just say, the new generation, the smile. Oh my God, look at that. I'm just all the baby giggles and talks. That is also giving me life. My cats, despite the stress of emergency vet visits, I love them dearly. Sassy Jones giving me joys with outfits and jewelry, cute glasses, my plants. I've got a growing jungle in my apartment. So nature, all the good things, and friends and family.
Joy, what's bringing you joy?
Yeah, I'm about to, at the end of the month, we celebrate 1 year of marriage to my wife. So that's beautiful. And I could not have been a million years a match in that. So that's bringing me a lot of joy just in, celebrating as disabled folks, like lives that we kind of dreamed of, but didn't know if they would ever really happen. So we have summer travel despite the woes of the flights. You know, that's enjoyable now that the weather is getting better. And I am grateful to work with a team that really feels like family. So daily, just, group chats and getting to, and it's not about, we actually do an annual no work retreat where we come together and like have no emails and talk about nothing but just, you know, getting to know one another more as a remote team. Sometimes you just want to catch up on life. And so we did that in Palm Springs last week, and that was really lovely for 5 days to eat good food and lounge by the pool. And yeah, so it's good. There's good movies out, good books out, crafting and shopping and yeah, loving life post 40.
Thank you, Andrea, and congratulations on 1 year. Eris, what's joy for you?
I mean, clearly,
Yeah.
this is the joy of my life. I did not know, as a disabled person, I was told very early on that I would not be able to conceive, let alone carry a child to term, long before I became more disabled by long COVID. And so this was the surprise of my life. Um, and being able just to watch them grow and evolve and smile and beat me up most of the time has been pretty amazing. But I think what's brought me the most joy is that I go ahead and tell them. Go ahead and tell them. What has brought me the most joy is that I have a renewed sense of audacity to be able to strive for and complete my goals. Because I have a little human that I don't ever want to see me. I don't ever want them to see my doubts win. And so I push through and I try really, really hard to do the things that I'm called to do because I want them to know that anything they want, they can have and attain. And I can't instill that in them without instilling it in myself.
Is amazing. And if you could tell this baby one thing just to leave the baby with, in terms of the advice that you would have, what will you all say to the baby? Our future.
I would tell the baby, joy is your birthright.
Thank you, Eris. What about you, Andrea?
That is a deep load of pressure. I like one thing. Prioritize yourself. Yeah.
What about you, Luticha?
Just to keep using that voice. It starts young, and we're here because we use our voice, and collective voices are always stronger. So keep using that voice, baby.
I appreciate you all engaging me with that. We're close to the end of our panel discussion. I really, really appreciate being in space with you all. And I guess my word of encouragement to you all is that there are many of us who's watching the footsteps that you are making. And as a young person in the movement that's always looking for a reflection of myself, this space has beautifully done that, from the interpreters to each and every one of you. And the fact that this conference is hosted by Valissa. And so I just want to say that there's much love in the sacrifices and journeys that you all have made. And thank you for having the courage and the tenacity and the opportunity to withstand the things that you have to endure to do what you do. And so thank you for all that you all have done. And I hope that this space was a space that allowed you to kind of reflect, but also relax and then look and share what the future could do. So thank you all for your time today. And I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. And you all have a beautiful day.
Thank you.